right, we are here for our next Shoebox Conversation with the talented photographer, Scott Tansey, along with Sheli Silverio and S. Vollie Osborn. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to be here with you, Scott. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're excited to look at your work. I'm going to share the screen in just a couple minutes, and we have some of your icebergs and some of your mountains. I think we have Denali, and of course we have to show your roses too, and your newer work, what you're doing. How have you been handling COVID? What have you been up to the last 3 or 4 months?
Well, I have not been out shooting. I've been doing a lot of post-processing. So I worked on roses that I took in 2011, 2016, and I snuck out the first day that one of the gardens was open. So I did that, and I worked on my glaciers. So I've been doing that. I've been staying indoors, which is not what I want to do, but doctor tells me that, you got to take care of myself, and I've canceled, a few trips. I canceled a trip to New Mexico and what's the place? Hobby BQ or whatever, and White Sands National Park now. And then I canceled the trip to Alaska that I was supposed to go to in next month.
Wow.
Wow.
So I'm hoping to make up for it next year.
Definitely, definitely. I know when we first started working together, you were working on more of your, I guess, micro shots where you were, focused on the ground and focused on the details. And then, but a lot of the work that you've been editing during all of this, like your glaciers and your icebergs, are these huge macro shots. How did you feel going between the two, going back and forth?
Oh, I felt fine. I have discovered there's somebody who said I have a wide range of work. But the other thing that I discover is I get onto a theme and I just beat it to death. So one of the themes that I had last year is I called Water in the Desert.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went to Death Valley and I'm walking through water and everything else, boots, and my shoes were all muddy and everything else. I went to Point Lobos last November, and that was incredible in the sense that I called multi-surfaces because the tide was so high. So my tide was so high, and it was interesting. I didn't plan to do multi-surfaces, but that's what I did, where I could literally shoot the water and what was below. So I have a whole bunch of those that I did for a week.
We have a couple of those images, which actually, let me go ahead and jump into sharing some of the work that we have. Let's see. So I think, can you guys see the image?
Cool, yeah.
I'm sharing, yeah. I wanted to share, this was from our first studio visit with you. Let me see, oops.
It's my only in-person studio visit.
I know. It was before COVID happened. But it was so cool that we were able to see some of this work in person. I know these were like test prints, and, just to see like how big and long and large they were. How did you print these? Like, are these, yeah, what is the process that you went through or what is the process that you go through?
Well, first thing, when I was on the ship, I would shoot, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd shoot all these images, and then I would take Lightroom and I would stitch them together, and then, do my, my secret sauce, trying to get it the way I want to. And then I printed it on I have a Epson 7900 printer, which is not working this minute. It's going to be crazy, but that's how I did it. it was very simple. And I shot this entire iceberg, and you could see that the iceberg was, it was pretty big.
Yeah.
This is a tabular iceberg where it's flat on the top. And so when I was in Antarctica, I was on the ship and I was constantly going do, 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 do. And everything was handheld. I wasn't doing a tripod or anything else like that.
Where was this taken, Scott?
In Antarctica.
Just below Patagonia?
Yeah, we were on the Antarctic Peninsula.
Cool.
And I did get below the Antarctic Circle. So I've been above the Arctic Circle and below the Antarctic Circle. So it's kind of neat.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I wanted to share this image. Let's see if it, oh, there we go. This was another one that I took on our studio visit. It's, one of your frame pieces. Because of course, this is an iconic, mountain, an iconic piece. Tell us about this.
Well, I was at Los Glaciares National Park, and that big thing up there is called Mount Fitzroy. And Fitzroy was the captain of the Beagle that took Darwin around the places. And you can obviously see that this is also the symbol for Patagonia clothing.
Yeah.
And so, we got up early in the morning, and if you look in the upper right, the weather was starting to change, and it was starting to get cloudy, and eventually it did.
It's a beautiful image, and just the detail and the depth,
And here again, I did, this time I actually used a tripod.
And what type of camera do you use?
I use a Leica S. This was with the original one, the Leica S2.
Okay, great.
So this was taken in 2012.
Okay.
So, that was Monte Fitzroy. And
Yeah.
over to the left is Cerro Torre, and that's one of the hardest mountains to climb in the world.
Oh, wow.
Let's put it this way, I wouldn't do it.
Me neither. And here's a couple. I think this was Denali.
Yeah, this was Denali. In 2012, I had the opportunity to go on an airplane, and we got above the clouds, and it was quite something. I would like to do this. This was with an old camera, and I would sure like to do a more modern camera, and this was shot, believe it or not, these were shot through a window.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't tell.
So I was happy. And you could see how high it is. And Denali, believe it or not, is the tallest mountain from visible base to the summit.
Oh, wow.
It's 18,000 feet you could see of the mountain.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And these images are gorgeous. The detail of the snow and the clouds, and yeah, they're really beautiful pieces.
Well, thank you. I may be living in Southern California. I do like the ice. What can I tell you?
Yeah, especially when it gets to 100-degree weather here. But we're not complaining compared to like my brother that lives in Arizona.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of reasons I wouldn't want to live in Arizona now.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I wanted to also show, kind of your, more of your glacier, because of course we fell in love with these pieces.
And these were some that I developed during COVID.
Yeah. And when did you go and see these in person?
2012.
Okay. Were these on the same trip as the Patagonia?
This was in Patagonia.
Okay.
This was in Torres del Paine National Park, which is probably the queen of the national parks in South America. And this is the Gray Glacier. So it was really interesting. I showed this to one of my mentors, John Paul Caponegro, and he goes, "Where's the wind?" And I go, I got lucky. There's no wind. You could see the reflection.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
Because usually it's usually very windy. And we took this tour and, sometimes this was really the first close-up glacier that I saw. Now I've seen other glaciers, further away, and they're like hanging valley glaciers, but this was the first one I got really close to. But it was very exciting, and it was fun to bring out the colors and everything else.
Definitely. What made you want to go to, Patagonia, or, where did the travel bug come from, to want to go and take photos like this of, nature and.
Well, I probably have had it all my life, but the Patagonia, I read a book back in the 1980s about South America's national parks in Torres del Paine. And then Rex Bringleson of Patagonia Photo had a very reasonable price trip, and off I went.
There you go. I love that.
The point is, as I've gotten older, you want to spend money on experiences, not stuff.
Yes.
Were you taking these from a boat, Scott?
These were from a boat. They have a Lago Great. They have a boat, and they go there. And when you get by the glacier, they take some of the ice and they pour drinks and everything else. And I was the idiot taking pictures the whole time, but I still had a drink.
Hey, you're the artist. This is, like you said, it's the experience, and we look, we have to, document what we see for sure.
Yeah. So this is what's, I just found that it was tremendous to go down there. And my brother was supposed to go down there, but unfortunately his house burned down 3 years ago.
Oh, no.
Finished building the house, but I'm telling him to go down there.
Yeah, he still needs to go down there.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then, tell us about these photos. Just the texture alone is amazing.
Well, I was on a tour with Art Wolf, and Art tells me not to take that picture, and I'm going, Art, I'm going to take the picture because I like it. But this one was taken on the very first thing where he wasn't on it. So this was the very first day that we out, and this was a iceberg on the bottom, and this is a big glacier on the top.
Okay.
And it's huge. It was huge. I had fun. Let's put it that way.
The one thing about these is, we have no idea, the perspective with the size, it like changes our eyes. We have no idea. That's what I love about these is this just a very small area, or does this equal miles,
but it wouldn't say miles, but I would say it was about 400 to 500 feet on the top and maybe about 40 feet on the bottom.
Yeah. And, because of the way, the detail, especially the piece on the bottom, when you look at that up close, which is harder to see in the slide, it just this lacy, beautiful pattern.
Yeah, sometimes the one nice thing about digital is you can experiment, because who cares?
And that is very true.
So I'm much more experimental.
Yeah, definitely. And then these you talked about at the beginning. These look like paintings. They always remind me of paintings.
Well, I try not to make something look like paintings, but this, one was in Newfoundland. The bottom one was in Newfoundland, and the top one is at Point Lobos.
Okay.
And all this, look how clear the water is, especially the one on the bottom. It is really clear.
Yeah.
It's also really cold. But, you know, I walked around with my multi-surfaces and I'm, you know, a lot of the stuff that I do is unconscious. And, you know, and then I think I wrote one time, you know, what do we see? What do we reveal? What do we hide? What do we distort and everything else like that? So most of my work is unconscious. I'm not sitting there going, oh, I'm going to take multi-surfaces because I don't know what I'm going to see when I get there.
No, I mean, like I said, you know, that's, you know, you have the photographer's eye. I mean, everything we see is art. And so, you know, you just run with it.
Right. I mean, I even had you might talk later, my urban surfaces project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I saw something in Death Valley and the next thing I ran and I started looking at the same patterns in a parking lot and going,
Exactly. Let's see. And then the last couple of slides I have, I wanted to show close-ups of these since these are your most recent work that you've been working on online. Tell us about the roses. Where did they come from? And what is your idea as you edit them?
well, was enough in focus. It didn't totally have to be in focus, but was enough in focus. And this one, I decided to take a picture of a decaying rose because decay has been a real aspect of my work in the last few years. And what I decided, you know, this is obviously not the picture that I took. I didn't use anything in the studio. I didn't do that. Everything here was done in post-production by masking. And if you were to see the original picture, you'd go, who cares? But when you put it on a background, all of a sudden you go, whoa. So
it's nice to have your subject lit by daylight, but on a stark black background.
yeah, this was totally by daylight. It was probably, as you could see, it was done in the rain.
Yes.
And what's the phrase? I happen to love being in, when I go take roses, I go in the rain. So, you know, what the heck?
Yeah. And I love your, you know, your subtractive process to this too. You know, in our studio visits, you showed us, you know, like what it looked like without the black background. And there was, you know, there were more petals or more leaves. And, you know, you really have a way with, you know, with subtracting just the right parts, you know, to bring out that that negative and positive space.
Well, I thank you. What's, you know, like my shooting, a lot of it is unconscious. You know, I'll go, that's way too out of focus. That's weird. It doesn't fit. And I get to decide what it looks like.
Yep.
I'm the boss.
There's so much of this particular flower that feels like flesh.
Yes.
Well, you know, as I said, it felt like decaying. And, you know, I did a whole bunch of decaying flowers. And I had to write another, after I posted all this decay stuff, I had to write something. No, I'm really optimistic here. Let's look at these flowers in the rain and their life. So, you know, I can't always totally be pessimistic or whatever. I'm more realistic when it comes to getting older. I don't like it, but I'm not ready to be old yet. But
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm older. It beats the other alternative.
Definitely. I'll have to send you the work of Kim Kai. She is a painter and a printmaker, and she takes the skins of paints and she manipulates them, and it looks like this when she takes a photo of it. They're really gorgeous. I could see your work juxtaposed with her to see that.
Right.
I'll have to send you her work. I think you'd find it really interesting.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Then I had to show, you know, one of the black and white versions too. You know, again, it reminds me of the Mapplethorpe self-portrait.
Yeah, someone said that Mapplethorpe did a whole series of flowers too.
Yes. Yeah, I think I remember seeing those at his show at LACMA. Or was
So,
it the road? He was a couple different places, yes. Yeah.
so
And Edward Weston, of course.
Ed Weston.
Yeah.
You know, I got to meet his grandson, Kim Weston, back in November. I went to the house where Ed Weston died.
Oh, wow.
And you go up and, you know, you could see the pictures of all four of his sons.
Yeah.
There is also something about this that has I mean, not just the Mapplethorpe, but a bit of a like early Hollywood glamour shot,
Yes.
right?
I never thought about having, you know, I thought of these being Rose portraits, I'll be honest with you, but not. I have really never taken a glamour shot in my life. You know, I've never taken a nude. Sorry, Kristine. You didn't know me then.
Well, you know, I mean, portraits also, if you think about like noir, you know, film noir portraits, you know, kind of what Sam was saying, you know, you
Yeah,
can
but you know
genres.
what I'm saying? The only pictures of people I've taken are really my family.
Yeah, but even thinking about the roses, though, thinking, you know, if these are rose portraits, there can be many different genres of rose portraits.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, truly, I have some partially in focus. I have some more in focus. One day I went to, you know, to the exposition park and I took pictures and it was on a sunny day, which I never do. You know, the lousier the weather, excuse me, the happier I am. So that's just been one of my things. And I like this rose, and it was probably one of my more recent you know, it was one of my most recent, from my most recent trip. And you could see how wet everything was.
Yeah.
And it was pouring. Let's put it this way. When I came back home, I had to take off. I had to take off my pants. I had to take off my jacket. You know, I wore like an outfit with like rainproof pants and rainproof jacket and, you know, a hat and everything else, but I was pretty wet. My camera can definitely handle the, that's one thing I like about my cameras, it can handle the wet and weather. So that's really good.
Yeah, definitely. And then I have one more image, you know, where you could definitely see the raindrops. But, you know, this is a little different than the last two I showed in that, you know, was this like one photo that you took and you subtracted, or did you like Photoshop these together?
No, I'm not that skilled. But this was actually one shot, and this actually became my cover photo for my Facebook page.
Yeah.
What I kind of really liked seeing, you know, I have a set of roses, and, you know, I do have some groups, but this one, everything else was out of focus, so I had to go and subtract a lot.
But it works. You know, it's a very surreal image. And, you know, your mind, we had talked about this, I think, in one of our last studio visits. Your mind really, you know, it wants to add what's missing, you know, which is the fun part of it. Or maybe not, you know, maybe it's just they're there floating in this space, which, you know, which adds something else.
Well, you know, it's really kind of interesting. Obviously, these are all flowers on stems and everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah.
What I decided to do was to make the row, you know, everything is like unconscious. I go, well, this looks pretty good. But so I actually have a very good rose, and then I have a couple of decaying roses, and I have partial roses, like the one on the bottom is a partial rose.
Yeah. I love that the flowers have a second life that way.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
You know, I never thought of myself as a real flower photographer, but, you know, I decided I worked on this starting in 2011 because I bought a macro lens, and I said, let's go play with it. And I haven't done anything, but this was from my most recent trip, and this was actually taken this year in May.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh,
and,
fantastic.
You know, one of the things that I try to do is I like to play. I always like to play.
Yeah, I wanted to get, to get to that. I think that's so important.
So I like to play. So.
Yeah. So I know you still have some roses to work on.
My roses are done.
Oh, are they? Oh, okay. Oh, good. You would need to send those to us.
I think I sent you pretty much everything.
We only have a handful in there, so I'll have to look and make sure.
Okay, if you need more, I'm done. This is the first time I am totally caught up. So maybe what I'll do is scan some of my film stuff. You know, I have stuff from the Olympics back in '84.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you can't believe it. I brought a 500 millimeter lens into the Coliseum. I bought a Technorama into the Coliseum. It was like, I don't think you could do it today.
Yeah. So besides that, do you, despite being quarantined, despite the pandemic, do you have plans or ideas for what you want to do next?
Yeah, I would like to do the glaciers. I would like to really get out to the north. I was going to go to Alaska.
Yeah.
And if certain things work out, I will have more glacier stuff and I will have months to work on it.
Great.
So that's what I've been doing. And I like to have fun. I just want to get this. I'm doing legal work. But as I said, I like to play and figure out. And if you were to watch me when I go out and shoot, you go, this guy's a little crazy.
Nah, we're artists.
Yeah, but I have a picture when I went out to Point Lobos. I had a pair of like fishing pants and stuff like that, and I said, "Here's your dork going to work." I mean, it was really believable. So.
Well, great, awesome. It's been wonderful talking to you, Scott.
Well,
And
nice.
I could have shown 100 more images, as we know, but I wanted to show a teaser to get people to go to your website and see more of your work, and and to give them kind of an overview of what you do and who you are, and how.
I would like to post this on my website.
Oh, we will. We'll send you the link. Don't worry.
Okay.
But,
everybody stay safe. Maintain your sense of humor because we're going to need it.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Scott.
Well, thank you. I'll let you dismiss me and then I'll shut it off.